Guys, D1sco here, and today I'm reacting to the developer update November 2023 PTB. This is kind of weird because they already did a November PTB, so I was kind of expecting if they were going to do one to do one in December, but they didn't for some reason. They did two in November. That's kind of weird. Apparently this had released yesterday as of me recording this. But they never showed up for me. Yesterday it never appeared. I never saw it when I sort of looked at the news for the game. But now it is here, which is kind of weird. But now that I see it, I'm gonna read through it. I don't really know what to expect because it says PTB, so I'm expecting this will be the sort of the only thing I really expect in here is talking about Trickster changes because he's way too powerful. He was way too powerful in the PTB, so that's really all I can think of this. Let's find out. For possibly the last time this year, we're back with another developer update, a series of posts covering everything coming to by this time around. We have a pint-sized post explaining all the changes being made after this post public test build PTB. The good guy. We were thrilled to see Chucky receive such a warm welcoming during the PTB. He's your new friend till the end. After all, first impressions seem to be positive, so we'll be keeping changes for the Dead by Daylight Chucky content minimal for the full release. I'm not surprised by that actually. When I was playing the PTB, because I played him a bit, I sucked as him because I always do. Although it sucked when except for the matches where the survivors were just for the bots were just crowds. That was weird. But he felt very solid. My biggest complaint with him right now is how linear the slice and dice feels. For me personally, at least, it's very hard to control the angles of it. It's very for me personally, it's very hard. It feels very difficult to control the movement of it, but that's just me personally. So I'd like for them to make it a little easier to move, but I'm not sure if they will do something with that. It just would be nice. Let's see. First up, to ensure that survivors have a chance to react, we have slightly increased the time it takes to scamper under a pallet to 1.4 seconds. What's 1.2 seconds? Okay, fair. Similarly, we've adjusted the killer's movement speed after missing a slice and dice attack to allow the survivor to gain more distance after a successful dodge. That's good, I guess. I sucked at using slice and dice, so I rarely ever used it, but yeah, that's fair. Second, we've fine-tuned the slice and dice attack, duration extending add-ons such as jump rope or strong favors to reduce reliance on these add-ons to make others more appealing. We've reduced the effects of these add-ons and incorporated part of their effects into the base kit. Slice and dice's duration has been increased to 1.2 seconds, was 1 second. Speaking of add-ons, we've done a balancing pass on many of the other add-ons, bringing the strongest and weakened options more in line with one another. Oh, that's good. Batteries included. Last update was small tweak to one of the new perks. Batteries included. This perk gives the killer a lingering speed boost when they pass by a power generator. But there's a slight problem with this. When the last generator is powered, all generators become powered. This made the perk far stronger during the end game than intended, especially in smaller maps and /or when paired with other perks such as Hex No one escapes death. Yeah, baby. Or then reducing the effects of the perk where instead of adding a new class. Batteries included. Now the activates when the exit gates are powered. Fair. The Trickster, the one I've been wondering about because Jesus fucking Christ, he was OP as fuck. Dead. Dead. Just easy forecast. This was literally the best character of the game. I would much rather, like, if my options were PTB Trickster and Nurse, I'm picking PTB Trickster because GI God, that was ridiculous. This past PTB featured a bundle of balance changes for the Trickster, aiming to improve his lethality and make him feel better to play. While these changes did make the Trickster stronger, many felt that they made him a little too powerful. He was OP as fuck! You beat a little too powerful. He was OP as fuck. Making him difficult and frustrating to play against. He sure was! With this in mind, we have a few adjustments on the way for when the update will be released. Thank God. Yeah, get fucked, Trickster. First, we are reverting the Trickster's throw rate to 3 blades per second was 4 during the PTB. Oh, they're changing it back. That's interesting. Because originally the reason why they did that was because they got rid of the speed. They got rid of the speed increase that he just like because before he would throw faster like as he was just constantly throwing. But they removed that part of the power, so that's why he was 4 blades a second. That way he was still fast. But they reverted it. Interesting. They made it back to 3. That's interesting. This will give survivors a little more time to break line of sight before they are injured. That's true. The laceration meter will remain at 8 blades like in the PG. I think the laceration meter is getting increased was a good thing. But it basically didn't matter because he could kill you so fast. But now his throw rate is back to the original, so it's easier for survivors to like get away from it and get time, which is good because my God, he was an absolute flipping. He was literally a machine gun of death and destruction and despair. He was fun to play as, but going against it, my God, that must not have been fun. I didn't go against him because I didn't want to torture myself, but yeah, no, that's reverting it. I think was a smart move because the 3 blades per second. I mean, that's how he's worked since 2021, so that's fair. And increasing the laceration meter, I think, is a good. I think was definitely a smart decision to keep that because survivors get a bit more time. But its increased movement speed will help the Trickster catch his survivors to land a few more blades more often. Okay, so they're keeping the increased movement speed they gave him. They just moved it back down to normal, and then so they're basically saying that his increased movement speed will make up for the fact that the throw rate isn't as good to make him, because he won't be as good as he was in the PTB, but like still solid. Okay, and I'll be interesting to see how them reverting his throw rate back will be. I'm very interested in testing that, just to see how exactly how that works. I'm very curious. Second, although we'd like for main event to happen more often than it historically has, yeah, I that's fair because before it was like a ridiculous amount, and more often than not in matches I had against Trickster and matches Orange had playing Trickster, it never happened. It's probably happened once or twice, maybe a few times we've like, but like there's been a few times where we've gotten it multiple times in a match, but very very rare just because of how tricky it was to get it. So I'm kind of curious as to what they did about that. We found that it was a little too easy to earn during the PTB. This was especially true when certain add-ons were used, allowing it to be charged up with just a few blades. Because in the PTB, it was 6 blades. You needed 6 knife throws. You needed to hit 6 knife throws, and it was ridiculous. You kept getting it so fast. And then with the add-ons, it was like you needed 3. Like, that was way too powerful. Going forward, main event will require 8 blades to activate. I oh my God, behavior. Yeah, making it require 2 more blade hits is so gonna solve the problem. Oh my God, behavior. It doesn't. I get that they wanted it to be more like often, but like they should have made it more blade hits. Like I think originally it was like over 20. I personally think over 10 blade hits, not 10, but like over 10, and obviously less than 20 would have been a good place to put it. Because if you're a good trickster player, you're going to be hitting a lot of knives, so you could easily rack it up. But making it require only two more than like before is kind of it, I mean, sure, you won't see it quite as often because, it requires more hits now, but it's still like you're going to see it a lot because, you know, they only increased it by two. I don't know. Reading this, I feel like they're going to have to tweak that. Reading this, I feel like sometime after the PTB, I think they're going to have to add something, add some sort of change, like increase the amount. But we'll have to see. Again, I'm definitely going to test out Trickster. Reverting his throw rate, I'm very interested in seeing that part. Definitely want to see the main event part as well. It's just on paper, the reverting sounds good to me because back to free, but the main event still sounds a little busted. But again, I'm just sitting here reading it and I'm not actually testing it, but I can't even test it right now because it's not in the game till a few more days. So you guys get a few days, so you guys gotta wait a few more days before I can test it. But that's fine. I'm very just curious, is what I'm saying. It just on paper, reverting sounds good. Back to free blades per second instead of the four. Totally on board. Very excited to see exactly how that feels. It being back was the increased movement speed. But but the main event change just sounds busted still. But we'll see. We'll see. Similarly, we have replaced the effects of a handful of add-ons, most of which interact with main events. So probably the iridescent add-ons that probably got changed. G1's autograph, new effect, increases the time before a combo ends by 10%. Okay, not terrible. Sounds pretty good. Fizz Spin Soda, new effect, increases the time before a combo ends by 15%. Okay, not be interesting to see those. Death Froze. That's a weird spelling. Compilation, new effect, reveal the aura survivor's hit during main event for 6 seconds. Okay. And iridescent postcard, photo card. I mean, sorry. The haste bonus is now lost when the survivor is injured. Previously, when the survivor entered the dying state. Yeah, I think making it end faster is good. Which now we've reached the end of another developer update. Each of the changes discussed in this post will be available when the update is released on November 28th, which is in a few days. We hope you have a blast with your new friend till the end, and we look forward to hearing what you think. Until next time, Divide Do It team. Okay, so so I'm gonna wrap this up with some final statements about the changes. So the Chucky changes, solid. Chucky changes, very solid. I'm on board. That very solid sounding, very solid. Very excited for the Chucky changes. They were very minimal, which I think is perfect. He felt very good in the PTB. If something, of course, arises in the future, they can tweak that. But like how he worked in the PTB was solid. I felt like it's solid. It's fair. I also historically am the worst Dead by Daylight player of all time. So obviously, I can't. So obviously, I wasn't able to use him as effectively as Starva or any other YouTuber. Heck, even Orange absolutely kicked my butt if you compare how we played him. But I mean, heck, there's a video. One of our PTP videos, both of us played him in the same video, and you can see a very, very dramatic difference. But I do think that the minimal changes were solid. I felt like they were justified pretty well. They didn't feel too overpowered or anything like that. They felt solid. Very excited to, of course, test them out in the game because they sound really good. They sound pretty good. Like just little changes, I feel like are perfect. Um, the trickster changes, however, that's where I honestly was a bit more excited when I saw this. That's what I was more excited about for the PTB changes getting added to the base game because in the game in the PT before PTB, Trickster was solid. I feel like Trickster was a great pick for beginners just because he had a lot of projectiles. He was fairly solid as well. He 4K'd very often when me and Orange play against him. Like he was very solid. PTB Trickster was an absolute force to be reckoned with. He got turned up so much. I would argue in the PTB, I would argue Trickster was the best character in the entire game because my god, that was an absolute nightmare. So I'm very happy to know that they toned some of it down. Them toning down the base throw rate, feel like it's fair. I didn't notice the throw rate like being faster much in the PTB. I mean, like I'm sure it definitely contributed to a lot of stuff that happening, but just kind of watching the gameplay, I didn't really like. I wasn't like, oh, I'm throwing fast. Would I'm throwing faster now. No, in game I was just kind of throwing knives, and the next thing you know, I'm getting main event 15 million times, and I got a 4K. So that change was nice. I'm very interested in what they were talking about of trying to sort of justify that by one, giving survivors more breathing room, two, letting the movement speed sort of pick up that lack of throw rate. I very much want to test that out. That will probably be one of the first things I do when this goes live. That'll probably one of the first things I do is play Trickster in a bot match and just test some stuff and just test out that throw rate and whatnot. The laceration meter staying the same as PTB is good. Survivors, especially me and Orange, who do very poorly against them, need all the advantages we can get. So, giving us the PTB laceration meter and nerfing his throw rate, I feel like are very excellent changes because before did not matter. Yes, the laceration meter, like, they had some more bars to fill up, but it very much felt like it didn't feel like it had any impact in the PTB because Trickster was too flipping OP. So I'm very happy about that. The part I'm and then there's main event will require 8 blades to activate. That it's 2 more than PTB, which is why I'm nervous because it's only 2 more knives. And it was so easy to get it 15 million times with the 6. So I'm very understandably, I feel like it's understandable that I'm a little nervous about it because it's only 2 more knives. So just me sort of thinking about it, there is a chance that we will see that you will see main event a lot. And I get that they wanted you to see it more often, which is why they changed it to 6. But main event's advantages make it too powerful to give it that much of a buff. So I get that they knew that they had to nerf it, but it just felt like they just sort of that change very much felt like they still wanted it to be seen a lot, and that's fine. But it just kind of sounds like he still might be a little bust in that regard. Now, I understand that the throw rate being reverted will contribute into that and his movement speed. But still, like, even with that, it sounds very good. So obviously I'll test it out in those bot matches that I'm planning on doing. I doubt I'm going to record it, but just in my free time when I test it. Just because I really want to see how that feels. The add-ons though sounded pretty solid, honestly. Like the combo ones sounded pretty good. Changing the haste to injured instead of dying, I feel like it's fair. Especially because he has that increased movement speed now by default. So there's no reason. So that I feel like that's fair. And then like the revealing aura ones, I feel like is solid in case you like happen to lose the survivor. It can be helpful. Otherwise, obviously, it's not the biggest help, but it is to someone like me who sucks at staying on track of people. It's very easy for me to lose people. It's one of my biggest problems as a killer player, besides just being terrible. But yeah, overall, I think it was solid. The Chucky changes sounded great. Honestly, I get that they were minimal, but I didn't. I felt in the PTB, I felt like he didn't need much changing. Happy to see that everyone had agreed with me, including behavior, and they just sort of tweaked a few little nitpick. I guess you could already. They just sort of tweaked a few times, just because they just tweaked a few like times, just extending them just to give survivors a bit more of a chance. And I feel like they didn't change it too badly to make it feel for survivors to have to like basically um, have to for survivors to basically just are gone, like, and you will never find them again. But they definitely have a easy, but they definitely will have an easier time getting away now. And I think that's good. Trickster, a little nervous about his changes here. Overall, I'm feeling it. Sounds. I'm happy they did nerf him. I'm happy because PTB him was way too ridiculous. He needed nerfs, and overall, the nerf of his throw rate was solid. And then the changes they added to the perks that work with main event, I feel they sound good on paper at least. I'm not sure how they'll work in practice, but they sound pretty good at least reading them and just basing that off of how he was in the PTB. Changing or keeping the PTB laceration meter to 8 blades, I feel like was a very smart move. I do think that. I do think that because it gives survivors a bit more of a chance. It's just that main event will require 8 blades to activate part I'm a little nervous about. That's really the only thing I can think of that they might have, just based off of reading, that I think they might have to change in the future. I get that they want main event to happen more often, but main event is a very powerful part of his power. So that was one nice thing about it not showing up very often historically, was that he didn't have access to it. Was that he didn't get like access to it very fast. Whereas PTB, because he got access to it so often, he was a destroyer of worlds. So I do think that will be the only thing that might have to change. Again, my personal opinion on it is making it somewhere in between 10 and 20, somewhere in that range. I don't know where, I'm not an expert, but somewhere between the 10 knives to 20 knives range, I think would be perfect for him. The laceration meter is 8. You would have to get them down a health state to get it now. And I just feel like making it take a little longer would help out survivors more, and I feel like just it would make the power feel a little less stupid broken. But that's just reading it. Very excited to see how it works in game. But before I continue to keep rambling, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, ring the bell. Do all the algorithmic garbage. It helps us out a lot. It means a lot to us. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.